gorgeous human beings of the We Are Alpha Femme membership and of the Charisma Master Class. Today is day 3, and I'm very excited because things have started to bubble in the group. I'm loving what you guys are posting. I'm loving what it's bringing up. So I would love to first ask, before we jump in, what are some of the realizations that contemplating those 8 words brought up for you? And so if someone had a breakthrough, say me in the comment section. Shannon, you were the first one to say me, so we're going to bring you right up if you're open to it. The first Shannon said me. There you are. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm great.
Good. Tell me, what did you realize?
I realized how much I have already been expanding and stretching those areas within my own life, like through doing the identity work. And it's like even the aspect of being curious, it's like I find myself being more curious of everything that's taking place.
I like this. So did you find that in looking at it this way, in where you've stretched, where you've allowed yourself to stretch, it kind of changed your perspective from trying to change yourself to trying to stretch yourself instead?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
does that feel, how does that feel in comparison?
It feels like, because I've been on this journey for so long that it's been one of those things where I always felt like there was something I had to fix. And so this allows me that freedom to be able to just breathe into expanding and seeing myself as, like you've said so many times, we're adding to it. We're not fixing anything. And so by expanding these boundaries or these ranges,
Yeah,
by doing that, we're actually able to feel free to be ourselves.
that's awesome. And I can tell you, just speaking with you right now, I
Mhm.
get zero, I need to fix something about me vibes,
Yeah.
like none.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that is
It feels
awesome.
good. It feels freeing.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing
No
with us.
problem. No problem.
So this, if you guys could notice the difference between the vibe of a person coming up in a share and feeling like there's something about me I need to fix, or I just feel stuck, or I just feel like frustrated, or I just feel, versus I had the breakthrough, I feel free, I've realized how much I've grown. Like if we could feel this way about ourselves, we would just continuously grow forever. That was such a beautiful example. It wasn't all hyped up. Oh my God, I just had the biggest breakthrough. My life's going to change now. It wasn't like that. It wasn't this whole like, oh my gosh, I had an epiphany. It was like, I feel solid. And a lot of times we discredit how valuable those moments of solid are in our life, but really we build from solid moment to solid moment to solid moment on rock solid ground, not wobbly, and also not just, I feel in my bones, I've changed, like actually just, I had a breakthrough and I feel it. That was the perfect person to bring up. So I'm so happy, Shannon, that it was you. So what I want to dive in with you today, and this is such a perfect segue from what we just said with Shannon, is I want us to go into the matter of fact truth of this work. And so this is a very important thing. If you have ever heard before that charismatic people can be manipulative people, I want you to raise your hand if you've ever heard that before. So you want to be careful because those charismatic people, they can be manipulative people. So I want to shine a big light on this, and I want to tell you what my beliefs are about this. Now, when we take identity work plus charisma, we get a very different conversation than what most people are teaching to people who buy identity work and charisma. Do you believe me when I say that? Usually when a person is buying identity work, it's because they want to become something else. And when they buy a charisma program, it's because they want to learn to be the big cheese. So just the way I sold these programs and what they are not what usually people buy the programs for. But obviously Alpha Femme utilizes different energetics. Now, the biggest issue is that most of the world still operates on validation. So if you take the context of operating on validation as an identity, and then you add a charismatic person who basically their job is to be likable, magnetic, and charming, can you immediately see that a magnetic, charming, likable person who gives validation to a person who thrives off it will immediately create something that is artificial, especially if the charisma is artificial. It's going to create a feeling of, I'm important. I love this person. When I'm with them, I feel validated. There are even charisma courses where people will show you how to model people so they feel more comfortable with you. Like they'll literally show you when a person is standing this way, stand the same way. When they're sitting this way, stand the same way, like mirror them. Now, to some extent, if you are coming from a really genuine place and you are wanting to make a person that's uncomfortable feel comfortable, some of these tools can be super helpful. Like I can imagine if you were working with teenagers that are troubled and they want nothing to do with you, and you're able to sit in a way where immediately they feel comfortable with you, whoa, that would be life-changing. You know, if you work with soldiers with PTSD and you're able to, and they don't want anything to do with your therapy or anything to do with your help, and all of a sudden you're able to walk in and stand in a way where they open themselves up, sure, I can absolutely see that that would be valuable. If you've got a client in a trauma response and you are there to help them and you mirror them and their energy so that they can stop being in a trauma response, sure, that can be super helpful. But a lot of people will do this to be liked. Do you think that's helpful? Now, if you do it to be liked to a person who needs validation to thrive, and you know they need validation to thrive, and you know if that you make them feel liked, they'll do whatever you want. You think that's okay? And based on everything we've learned, is that genuine, actual charisma? Or is that just flat out manipulation? So I don't think charismatic people can be manipulative. I think you're either charismatic or you're manipulative. And the line is the frequency. Why are you doing it? It's the frequency of truth versus the frequency of what can I get from you if I behave this way? It is such a different, like what we're doing in the world, and most of the people that I'm manifesting in my world right now are light workers or shadow workers, but people who are really working to change the planet. They're healers, they're coaches, they're mentors, they work with conscious companies, they want to be greater parents, they want to be in better relationships. Like everything that they're learning so they can affect change in a positive way on the planet. But if you were to put this training and you were to put this information in the hand of a person who just wants to get richer, and that's all they really care about, they could misuse everything we're talking about. They could listen to identity and say, okay, so people really are, trying to be validated. And okay, sure, you've just, helped 1,000 of them, or 2,000 of them, but there's still billions out there that don't know this. So as long as they're not in the program, I should still be able to work my magic on them. And okay, charisma. So it's not about, it's like, if they feel like I like them, okay, this makes sense. Okay. So they need validation. I make them feel like I like them. I like this. This is easy. That's not charisma. But unfortunately, there are people like that on the planet. And this is why our work is so important, because at the very least, it starts to counteract some of those frequencies, because the fact is, even the people who do that are also in need of validation, because they are hoping it will help them be more significant if they make more money. Is because even though it's completely fake and artificial, and even though they would only manage to get a person to like them or to respect them or to do what they want because they've totally manipulated the person, they just kind of omit those details and they feel powerful. I could get people to do anything. So what we really want in our work is to heal two things at once. This is what will create genuine charisma: the need for validation and using charisma as a way to be liked. If we heal that, we'll be able to find genuine charisma. Because if you don't need to be validated, and I genuinely like you, that right there, that's real charisma. You don't need to be validated. You just actually enjoy me. And I don't need to be validated. I just actually enjoy you. That will be the strongest, long-lasting relationship. What a short-term charismatic relationship might look like is I genuinely like you, but you're still in need for validation. And so what that means is that the first time I meet you, there's a certain circumstance and we have the best day ever. And we have fun. I genuinely like you. We make these amazing memories. We laugh. It's all great. Life's perfect. The next time I meet you, we're in different circumstances. So we don't have access to the same storyline as last time. Maybe there's more people in the room, but I'm still happy to see you. I had a great time with you last time. I smile at you in a genuine way. I'm happy to see you genuinely, but I don't have as much time to spend one-on-one with you this time. If you need validation, what will you probably make that mean? That this time, something changed. The last time I saw you, I liked you. But now I don't like you anymore. That's how fast we decide people don't like us anymore. And the worst thing is the more charismatic the person is, in contrast with a person who needs validation, the faster the spark dies. So if you can imagine, you may be praying for the perfect relationship for you. You put on your calendar, on your live list, like you want to fall in love. You go on a first date and it's like notebook worthy. It is the greatest first date. And you tell everybody, I think I found my person. We talked until 3 o'clock in the morning. We danced in the moonlight. You know, I got poetry on a napkin and the greatest kiss I've ever had on a doorstep. It was perfect. Now the second date happens and this person is just as happy to see you, but they say something early on in the date, like, I will not be able to stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning today because I have a really important meeting tomorrow. Now, you weren't necessarily banking on staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning again, but the fact that they would say that, why would they say that? So now you're like, oh, well, yeah, no, I mean, we can leave now if you need. I've already decided you don't like me as much as you did. If I don't get the same kind of kiss, I decide it was a one-hit wonder. It wasn't real. And what will I do in that moment if I've decided, if I needed validation and I'm not getting the same response for this person, how might I respond for the rest of the date? Be a little shut down, a little standoffish. I've already decided this wasn't real. I'm pulling away. Now, because human beings are real, and they're actually not just tokens for our movie where we're the main character and nothing else matters, what are the chances that the real flesh person in front of me will feel that I have changed? That the connection isn't quite there as much. Pretty freaking high. So what are the chances that they might feel a little bit less confident now? And that the date might go in an even more disconnected way than it was going to before I made the assumption that I didn't matter. And what are the chances that this person might leave tonight thinking, I'll give her a minute to cool off. That was weird. And then what are the chances that you might make that mean something? And then what are the chances that that fizzles out? And you decide you dodged a bullet because he's probably love bombing you. Because it's probably fake. This is the majority of the issues because people are so simple. Like the amount of people who are actually evil genius masterminds in comparison to people who are just crap at relationships because they are afraid and vulnerable and in need of validation. It's like 1% is an evil mastermind and 99% suck. That's literally the numbers. So why is this so important is that if you're in your charisma also, and you do not need validation, and the person says to you, I had a great time last time, can't stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning next time because I have a meeting first thing in the morning, and you say, ooh, what's your meeting for? And then they say, well, I've got this amazing opportunity, and this is maybe going to happen in my life. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Congratulations. And the date continues because you didn't make it mean that you didn't matter. As a matter of fact, you were interested in what the early bird meeting was. As a matter of fact, you congratulated them. As a matter of fact, you were interested and engaged, and it did not even cross your mind that you didn't matter as much. What are the chances that that date actually goes really well and you get a different dynamic of date? You got the fairy tale date. You got the what it would be like if we were together long term and they had work in the morning. Now you've got 2 for 2 really good dates with a solid person. What are the chances a third date happens? What are the chances after the meeting, the person actually thinks, I want to let her know how it went? Whoop, the chances just went up. So we put the odds against us when we need validation from people because the chances of them messing up are so high when we make everything about us. There's a module in We Are Alpha Femme, if you haven't watched it, called the Ice Queen. I have a program called Magic on Legs, and I put one of the modules in We Are Alpha Femme. If you can watch this, I think you will really enjoy it. And it's all about, being the main character in your own movie and nobody else's. It's a genius piece if you have a chance to watch it. It's in the membership here. So what we're looking for in our lives genuinely is either 2 people who are in need of validation, who are willing to spend their entire life validating one another. Like if you can imagine, there's a ping pong ball and the ball is validation, and we're just gonna ping, ping, pongy that little ball back and forth for our entire lives. Because of you, I matter. 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 Oh, drop the ball, divorce. Oops. Okay, find another partner to ping pong the ball with. Because of you, I matter. 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 Oop, drop the ball, divorce. Or we actually learn to find our own validation. And then it's like, I matter, I matter, I matter, I matter, I matter. It doesn't mean there still won't be separation and divorce, because you might realize I matter so much and I realize I'm not in love with you anymore. But it won't come from I matter and you don't make me matter and you don't care about me and so I can't be with you anymore, which is what a lot of separation comes from. You have stopped filling my validation tank instead of I stopped seeing the magic in you. I stopped feeling connected to you. I stopped feeling love for you. I stopped feeling like that's never been there. So it doesn't really matter. It's more like, how full do you make me? Now, the other issue with how full do you make me is that validation still touches the parts we talked about yesterday, which are love and intimacy. And so you can actually sabotage a validation-filled relationship just because something happens in your life and you shut the intimacy down. For example, you had a trauma in your past, something triggers it, and now when your partner says something to you about something, you don't believe them. Something happens. Maybe one time they said no to being intimate or something, and now you put it in your head that you're disgusting and they don't want anything to do with you. So now you've got this trauma of rejection that's running really strong in your body. And so you need validation, but now you've got this really strong rejection trauma in your body. So you stop the intimacy entirely. So now even when they tell you you're beautiful, or I love you, or I love spending time with you, you're like, nope, nope, nope. The issue is most people trauma bond when they're in victim energetics. So the same validation that you're not letting your partner give you now feels like a lack of intimacy, which means it's that thing we talked about yesterday, like when they try to give you something or someone try to give you something, you don't take it, and it makes the person feel rejected, which then triggers their wound. And next thing you know, you have kiboshed the relationship. You have poo-pooed the relationship. And it feels like you can't get it back. Because the thing it was based on was how much you can fill my cup, and I've put a lid on my cup. I cut the intimacy. So a lot of relationships are built on validation and lack of intimacy. I need you to fill my cup, and I put a lid on it anytime I feel triggered. And then I make you responsible for not filling the cup I put a lid on. Charisma is entirely different. It's like I genuinely work on my ability to love you, to like you, to respect you, to learn about you, to be curious about you. And I also openly work on my ability to feel loved by you, to appreciate your curiosity of me, to believe in your interest in me. And I love me. I think I'm great. I know my currency. I'm confident about myself. I have conviction in the things I believe in. I'm a kind person. I'm compassionate. I've got all these traits. And when we're together, I have a great time. And when we're not together, I also have a great time. Two people like that come together. What can break that? Only genuinely falling out of love, where often you will find two charismatic people who fall out of love still end up being good friends, co-parent properly. They'll say, yeah, we had a good run. We were together for like 15 years, but there was just maybe the sexual intimacy was not there anymore, but we're great friends. We've been co-parenting our kids, and it's been really great, because I'm not punishing you that you don't validate me anymore. I don't need your validation. These are like the relationships people look at and feels like people are unicorns. Like, how the heck did you do that? A lot of it is built on two very charismatic people in the correct sense of it, like in the context of this program. People who have care, compassion, connection, people who are really capable of being strong in their convictions and confident, but still stay curious about each other. So what I love about this is there are different kinds of charisma, because based on your predetermined or your dominant traits of charisma, this is what kind of creates the charisma quotient, is the ratio, not of how much charisma you have between 2 points, but also how many of the 4 you have and to what degree. So for example, if someone has the kind of charisma that you see, like the Jessica Rabbit charisma or the Marilyn Monroe charisma, like they walk into a room and you can hear bow chicka wow wow, the kind of person that's like, whoa. A lot of people will say, oh, because they look a certain way, but that's not true. I have met people in my life that if you would have showed me a picture of them, I would have been like, but after about an hour with them, I was like, you've got something. What is this? Magnetism. So what does that look like? Usually, those people have distinct characteristics of charisma. They have curiosity. You can tell they're engaged about you. There's something like that. There's a confidence there. But they're caring. You can tell. Not necessarily compassionate, doesn't necessarily need to be compassionate, but they've definitely got connection, and they've definitely got care, and they've got confidence. And when you put those things together, they've got currency, they know their value. It kind of creates this that kind of magnetism. But then there's another completely different kind of magnetism, and that's the kind of person who, when they talk, you follow them to the moon. Maybe a visionary, a person who's got huge ideals and who's able to transmit a message, and people listen to them and they're like, I'm in, like, I feel it, I get it. What does that person have? This person has conviction. This person probably does have either care or compassion for humanity. There's something about them that's really connected to something as well. There's confidence there. You can tell that they care, but they can tell they're convinced, and you can tell they've got courage, and you can tell they've got all these things. All of a sudden, they've got those traits going on. Then you've got the kind of person who's more of the like boss type. You know, they're the kind of person that you would just not question at all. It's a charisma that's like, I'll do whatever you ask and I won't question it. I don't feel like I need to butt against you at all. I'm just like, sure, I'll do it. That person has what? Conviction, confidence, care. Like you can feel they don't just not care about you, because that wouldn't work. They probably don't have much compassion though. It's like you do it and that's it. They've got a lot of currency. Let's go. Different people with different pieces of the puzzle create a different kind of charisma. So I have seen people say, I'm not charismatic because I'm not like seductive, but I'm like, but that's just one type of charisma. I have seen the people that are visionaries that have zero seductive energy whatsoever, but that's actually helps them because no one's confused about why they're hanging out. It's like, we mean business. We've got things to do. No wires are getting crossed. There's something, Jane Goodall is a great example. So there's something about the energy, the vibe that's like, I'm in with you, but it's not like, cause I'm trying to get something. Now, when Sabrina says, for me, seduction is not charisma, you're going to see two things. Seduction is not charisma. Charisma is the confidence, the care, the curiosity, the currency, all of the C's we talked about, but that somehow mixed with the person's traits, that person is a seductive, charismatic person. So it's, notice how in the 8 choices I gave you, seduction is not one of them. It's just that somehow that's what it feels like a little bit. And so when we say, some people say charismatic people are charming. Not all of them. Some people aren't charming at all. It's just, you just wouldn't question it. You know, others say charismatic people are likable. Yes, but not likable like, gosh, I love spending time with you. Likable like, gosh, I'd do anything for you. Like, fine, you know, like the boss and the secretary that have that really sarcastic, funny relationship where she works way too late and presses his shirts and does everything for him and just loves him and thinks it's hilarious. And they've got that 20-year relationship where there will never be anything romantic between them, but she bosses him around and he bosses her around. There's that charisma energy between them. But there's absolutely no seduction. And it's not like, I like you. It's actually more like a rude, sarcastic, I love you. Then there's the magnetic. They say charismatic people are magnetic. Not always. Sometimes I'm not drawn to you. I'm just going to do what you tell me. I can't explain it. It's like, there are bosses out there that everything they say, you kind of want to say, oh gosh. And there are bosses out there that when they say something, you're like on it. But you might not necessarily like, yes, of course, I'm on it. You're not liking them. You're not seduced by them. You're not magnetized by them. They just have a way of speaking to you that you're like, yes, on it, got it. They activate the doing in you. So what I have found is the thing you can't control, which I think is what people really wish they could control, is what type of charismatic person you are right now. And I really believe this is why this whole thing falls on its butt. Because people say, well, I want to be like Tony Robbins. So I've got to learn to be charismatic like a freaking visionary. And I need to do that today or else I've failed at life. So 1, 2, 3, go. Someone says, I want to be like Marilyn Monroe. I want to walk into the town bar tonight and I want to feel like Marilyn Monroe. And I need to learn how to do that today, or else I failed. Okay, maximum this weekend. Okay, maximum by my cousin's wedding. And we give ourselves deadlines to change who we fundamentally are in order, and this is where you will catch yourself, in order to get something. Because if you think your life would change by being a certain kind of charismatic, that means you think it would make it easier for you to get something, which means you're actually operating from your validation. And it's the fastest thing to spot. So you'll be able to bring yourself back. But here's the difference between you thinking, if I could be more charismatic, I would be more magnetic, and then more people will find me and then I have more clients, versus I want this for my life and I'm so excited to find out what will happen. Now, what I believe is that we can be all the charismatics. But that works with no motive, no need for validation, and a commitment to stretch your quotient across all pairs, across all 8 C's. So you would say, I want to be more curious in my life. And I can't imagine what that would do for me. I want to develop more confidence in my life, and I can't imagine what that would do for me. I already have so much care, so much compassion. I already have a lot of currency, but I can only imagine what would happen if I also had more courage. So I want to work on that, and I can't wait to see what that would do for me. If you see it more like your life's a work of art and a work in progress at the same time, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with you. There's nothing you need to be so that you can get something. You actually value who you are. Who you are is enough. You have charisma right now, and you would like to develop that and see how far you can go. If you can do that, you will not be the next Tony Robbins. You will be the first and only you. And people will talk about that. And people don't talk about the next Tony Robbins or the imitation Celine Dion or the person who kind of looked like Beyonce or the person who had the kind of beauty that Marilyn Monroe had. Nobody talks about the ones who are the second coming of. People talk about the one. So there really is not much reason to ever be anybody's second, because you'll never feel like anything as someone's second except for a copy. And if people tell you, oh my gosh, you remind me of blah, blah, blah for long enough, it might be fun at first. And eventually it'll feel like, I don't want to be a second of somebody else. I want to be me. So the minute you start looking at someone else's charisma and saying, if I had more of that and more of that and more of that, I'd look like that, you've actually sliced your potential and you don't even realize it. You've sliced a piece of your crust off somewhere and you don't even realize it, because the fact is, to be you, you would have to find out what that means. This is what all these people have done. They found out what they were, who they were at the peak of their charisma quotient. Like, how much of everything did they have? And they didn't do it to be like somebody else. Although, as a matter of fact, I'm going to stop using Marilyn Monroe as an example, because she actually did model a lot of who she was on someone else. And I talk about that in Season of Legends, if you've never watched Season of Legends. So, but when we look at someone like Nelson Mandela, we look at someone like Tony Robbins, we look at someone who has a personality that's so iconic that you would be drawn to say, I would like to be that. Mother Teresa. There's qualities about them that you enjoy, but you wouldn't want to model that. You'd have to give up so many bits of you in order to be a replica of somebody else. So what we're looking for here is for you to have a genuine relationship with yourself and other people. That's what real charisma is. The minute it turns into you want to be validated and you want people to like you, so you act in a way that they resonate with so that they like you, you're no longer charismatic, even if it looks like you are. Because in our world, it's not about what it looks like, it's about what it is. If you act charismatic and you act like you care about people, so they feel like you care about people, you will tend to be drawn to do that to people who you know need validation, because it doesn't work on people who know themselves. So you will only do that with people who have no self-confidence. And it will give you a result that's very different than what you think it will. And it will break down, because the minute you don't have the bandwidth to continue giving them all of that, you'll lose it and you'll have to start all over again and lose it and start all over again, lose all and start all over again. Now, sometimes we don't do this on purpose. I would say sometimes like 99% of the time we don't do this on purpose, because we're not psychopaths. We're not there to harm people. We are not the evil mastermind trying to hurt people. But the thing is, without these programs, we don't realize everything comes from a motive of validation. So we don't do it on purpose. We're just like, I want to be validated. So let me find people who need validation and let me give them what they need in order to feel important. And then hopefully that lasts. The only reason Alpha Femme continues to thrive is because the people that are in the Alpha Femme brand, as a majority, are people who don't need my validation. Doesn't mean that nobody needs my validation. This is hard to completely eradicate, but I talk about it enough that most people don't. And if they did, within a few moments of a program, after a few modules, they're like, well, I just put that down. I didn't even realize that was there. But for most of my clients, they don't need that. They respect me. They respect my work. They're excited to learn, but they're not coming in like, oh, Melanie, you're the only person on earth that makes me feel like I matter. But if you don't say anything to me today, I'll think you don't love me anymore tomorrow. Although that has happened. But the majority don't. And I think the reason of this is because I talk about it all the time. Alpha Femme, just in the name of the brand, kind of gives that duality. You've got to be able to lead yourself. A lot of the conversations are about leadership. And I value love more than like. And the difference between love and like is, like can be, you like something on the internet. Like is a button on the internet. It lasts as long as the post does. But love is something you can come back from. Love is something that can hold a mistake. Love is something that you can bump heads and then have a talk and it's worth mending. Like is like, I like you, now I don't. There's not much strength to like. I don't spend much time there. I cultivate deep connection and love in my relationships. And so what that means is I'm probably going to not validate you many times. You'll say hi to me in the comments and I won't see it. You'll make a post on my timeline and I'll have stopped answering the posts one comment before yours. You know, I'll be reading comments and I'll skip yours. It'll happen all the time. So if you need to be validated by me, you'll decide I don't care about you. We'll get no transformation. There would be no value, and I could not hold a brand that was built on likability only, or else I could only have a few clients at once. It wouldn't be possible for me to hold a room with hundreds of people and make everybody feel liked, but I can make everybody feel loved, because love is the frequency of truth and I genuinely feel it. So if you've been thinking like, I want to grow a big business, but my fear is that I know the people around me. And if I grow so big and they don't get that specialness from me, I think some of my relationships are going to break, or some of my clients will probably quit because they won't get that same kind of connection with me. Or, you know, I feel like I can't grow because the people that are with me now would prefer things to stay exactly the way they are. Have you ever felt that in your life, either with your friends, with your family, with your clients? So this is a real thing. We care about people, but we also know they get a lot of their being with us from validation. So as you do this work, two things are going to happen. That fear is going to start to subside because you're going to believe in the people around you more. But second, you're going to attract different people. And you're going to attract different people because the reason you attract those people is because they make you feel safe. They make you feel safe because you know if you behave a certain way, they won't leave. This is a fraction of who you are. On the day where you know you don't need to behave a certain way and they still won't leave, you will feel like you can do anything. but that day comes outside of your validation and your need for the people around you to be happy with the way that you're behaving. It's bigger than this. Your leadership is bigger than this. Your visionary energy is bigger than this. And what I've really needed to stand for in order for this business to become this big is people and their power. Not people and their need for validation, people and their power. The more I believe in people and their power, the more I'm willing to grow, the more I'm willing to change, the more I'm willing to pivot, the more I'm willing to course correct. And that doesn't mean that every move I make doesn't come with one or two people who might not be happy with the move and say, I liked it better before, I feel this, I feel that. And then I can stretch my compassion, my care, my understanding, but still have conviction and confidence in my moves. And the majority of people move with me. And that's what's built my confidence in what I'm doing right now. So I want you to feel this in your life because it's an entire game changer. There's no validation in my relationship with Kevin whatsoever. Like we can literally go days without seeing each other. Days, not seeing and not talking to each other. If we're on different time zones and he's got things to do and this, we can't talk to each other. I never feel like if he doesn't message me back, he doesn't care about me. If he can't make time for me, he doesn't care about me. There is a genuine respect and a love. We can move mountains together. Because if my need for validation with him was smaller, there's a lot of things I couldn't do and there's a lot of things he couldn't do. Together as a couple, we are doing extraordinary things for our families, for the world, because the genuine love and the not need for validation makes it that we're so freaking solid. I have not been this way in all my relationships. I've had relationships where if it's noon and I don't get good morning, gorgeous, I'm like, what's wrong? If I get no punctuation at the end of a sentence, I'm like, But I'll tell you something about those relationships, and this is the real vulnerable truth. And I don't know if you've ever done this before, but I specifically remember making the decision to give it a shot in a relationship because I felt genuinely, and this is so terrible to say, but I genuinely felt like I was the better catch and at least he would never leave. I thought if I'm with him, at least I know he'll never leave. And you want to know, he's the one who cheated on me and he's the one who broke my heart because that doesn't work. And I don't know about you, but can you imagine finding out that your partner is with you because you're like, she's not my top pick, but at least she'll never leave me? And beyond that, if you're at all intuitive, do you think you might feel that? And then if you meet someone who actually values you and sees you and is genuinely attracted to you, do you think you might feel the difference between who you are for this partner, who you're not their first pick, but at least you'll never leave, and this other person who feels like you're the best thing since sliced bread? Yeah. So I've lived this dynamic in my life. I've lived, I don't want to be hurt again, so let me pick someone I think will never leave me. I hurt them and I hurt me. That is a relationship built on validation and it backfires. It backfires in your life. It backfires in your business. It backfires in your friendships. It backfires everywhere. Every single person on earth has the capacity to feel it when they're valued and when they're not. Unless they're literally gaslit, which is again by a 1%. But most of the time, we're so blinded by our own need for validation that we will bypass our intuition, a piece that we have that would get us out of the trouble right away, but we don't want to give up the possibility that we feel validated right now. You'll say, I know this partner is not right for me, but I don't want to be alone. My intuition tells me break up, but then I'll be alone and I enjoy good morning, gorgeous. And I enjoy the attention and I enjoy you'll say, I know this client isn't the best client for me. Every time a message comes in, I roll my eyes, they drive me crazy, but the money. This chips away at your charisma because it chips away at your genuine love of people, and it chips away at your genuine connection to yourself, because if you let yourself feel what you really feel, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing. So we have two choices. We act out of validation, we numb our intuition, we go more in a controlled environment to try to control the outcome so that we can get what we think we need that'll make us feel happy and safe. Or we open our mind, we open our energy, we open our heart, we open our curiosity, we let ourselves care deeply, we let people in, and when something isn't right, we feel it. We don't let ourselves entertain relationships with people we don't genuinely care about, because we also wouldn't want someone to entertain a relationship with us that they don't care about just so they can get some sort of validation from us. We treat people the way we want to be treated. We give the compassion we pray for. And then something happens to our confidence. I really think our confidence is built with our behind the scenes relationship to our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. Every time you do something that you know isn't quite right, your confidence gets cut. Every time you make a move and you know it's not the right one, but you're doing it in order to validate something, you chip a little piece of your confidence off. Every time you promise you're going to do something that you don't, you slice a piece of your confidence off. Every time you make a move that you're like, if somebody actually knew the motive of this, I'd be very ashamed. You cut a piece of your confidence off. So people want to be more confident. They think that it's going to be in the way that they walk, having better posture. It's not. The confidence is built in your mind, in your heart, and in the way that you treat yourself and other people. When you know, I am such a freaking good person. Like, I am squeaky clean. There's not one person in my life that I don't absolutely love and value. I love and value myself. I take care of business. I take care of my friends. I take care of my family. I care about people. I have the hard conversations. I stand up for myself. I do what I've got to do. Your confidence. Ooh. I'm avoiding this. I don't want to talk about that. I hope they never bring this up. Oh, not that person again. Okay, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, then maybe I should have better posture and read a book about confidence. I'll read it tomorrow. We wonder why that's at an all-time low. And then we feel not confident. So what do? We become more caring. At least I'll be nice to try to make up for what I'm not. Then my currency goes down. Wonder why I don't value myself, huh? Wonder if it's because I have no confidence and I overcompensate by giving to a bunch of people I don't actually think love me or like me at all, just to get a certain result that I'm not getting, which hits my confidence even more and makes me feel not valuable. So now I have no currency. So I really, you know what? I need to figure out what my passion is. Oh yeah, because when I have no currency and no confidence and I'm drowning in people pleasing, I'm for sure going to find conviction. For sure. And I'm wondering why I don't really like people, or I don't feel connected to people. And I feel like people don't like me and I feel like there's no connection. So let me just have more compassion for people. Now I feel like a pushover. I feel people use me and I'm exhausted. So let me learn how to work a room and give a good handshake and have better posture so I can be confident and have charisma. Wah, wah. It's the internal game. It comes from a genuine place of like, let me just scrub all of this. What the heck have I been doing? These are all defense mechanisms I didn't even realize I was doing. And we don't do this because we're not good people. We don't do this because we're supervillains. Although a person who needs validation loves to invent a supervillain. It's the greatest thing you can do. It's like, okay, my dream just fell to the floor. Sure, I have no confidence. Sure, I have no connection with nobody. I have no conviction in anything. My currency is garbaggio. But I have been so caring and so compassionate, which gives me the perfect trait for a nice person character. So all I need to make the story stick that it wasn't my fault is a supervillain. Let me find the person that's responsible for my demise. If you are in your need for validation, you will find heroes and villains. If you are in your power, you will find other charismatic people. People who don't need you to behave a certain way every time or else they don't like you anymore. People who say, well, jump through hoops for me and then I'll see if I like you. People who say, well, you know, at first you used to make me feel this way. And so unless you make me feel this way again, I don't think I can be with you anymore. People who've got their own back and value you and know that your whole life isn't about making them feel anything. Your life is about your mission. And they either lock arms with you, shoulder to shoulder, and walk with you on the mission, or they go do their own thing. They're not slowing you down. They're not pulling you back. They're not using you for their own validation. When you're in your charisma, you manifest charismatic people. And when 2 or more charismatic people come together, something changes on the planet. Because we start to defy the odds. As soon as we have evidence this exists, when you meet another person that's got the charisma and things are effortless and things are easy, you're like, we could go in business together. I could have a relationship with you. I'm in for this. And then it works and it works out and you become evidence. Some of my greatest clients and I have made such an important impact on the industry. And some of you have probably seen it. And whether it registered actively or not, it did something for you that 2 people with that much power get along and get along well. Whenever you see 2 people join forces and it works and they're powerhouses, it does something to us. A power couple, friends in business, any person of power that locks arms well with another person changes something in people. We're so used to seeing people petty and fighting and things break down. Everyone's always waiting to see when things are going to break down. Charismatic people can have relationships for so long because they're not depending on, well, you don't make me feel special anymore. It's like, what are you up to? What are you up to? Let's touch base. How are you? You know, tell me, you tell me. I care. I care. All right. Enjoy. Oh, I thought about you. You did. Oh, thank you so much. No problem. Have a great day. Instead of, oh, you didn't forget about me? I haven't spoken to you in forever. Thought you were dead. I've literally had people tell me that. I reach out to them like, hey, I was thinking about you lately. Oh, you still exist? It's been so long since I got a message from you. I'm like, I wonder why. Shocking. You're so magnetic. You'd think I'd want to write to you every day. Like the people who are like, Melanie, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to hear from you. And they don't expect a 30-minute conversation. They feel the vibe with me, or they're off to something. And it's easy and it's full and it's amazing. And we can tap in often and it's great. The more friends you have like that, superpower. The more of your relationships are like that, superpower. If you can raise your kids like this, superpower. Because a lot of you have experienced a non-charismatic mother that makes you feel like that every time you call. Oh, hello. You have time for your old mother now? One day I'll be dead. You'll remember she didn't call me ever. A lot of times it's like that charisma can save the day in a way that we don't even recognize how much sometimes it feels good to not have needed to be the one that, you know, oh, I spoiled your day, I spoiled your week, I messed it up. Because of me, you're sad, you're miserable, you don't feel important. Because of me, your life's hard. And all I'm doing is building a business, having a relationship, doing my best, but somehow I've messed your day up. Great. Or I give you everything. How is it not enough? Because giving somebody everything is not the same as being with a charismatic person, because you can give a person compassion and care all you want. If they want from you currency and competence, you didn't give them the right sauce. This is why a lot of people end up in the romantic zone, end up in the friend zone. They give everything, they just give the wrong sauce, the wrong recipe. In business, you know, you end up being the one people are like, you're so inspiring. I'm so inspired by you. I hired a coach today. Thanks for telling me. What's missing in my thoughts? I inspire you so much. You went and hired someone else. Okay, so there's something missing. You know, it's the person you're head over heels in love with. It's like, oh my gosh, we have to go for lunch. And you're like, okay, yes. And they're like, I met someone. And you're like, like, what is wrong with my thoughts? The caring is there. I'm so compassionate. I give. Well, where's your currency? Where's your confidence? Where's your conviction? Where's it? Oh, yeah. So there's nothing wrong with us. There's already a charisma that's there. And if we use the charisma that's there to expand the other parts, we will go so much further than if we think the parts we have are inadequate and we should have different parts. Because the wild thing is once you get all the parts you thought you needed, if you've given up the parts you have now, you will then be lacking these parts. And I have shared this publicly. This has been a thing for me. When I first started this journey, no one questioned whether I was kind or not. That was not a thing. People didn't question that. They questioned whether I had the confidence, whether I had the currency, whether I was worth it. And so I did what I needed to do in order to have the confidence. I worked really hard and I made sure that I had conviction, and then I had currency. I believed in me. I had all these things, and people were like, don't think you have compassion. You can't just hyper focus in one thing, because then people will be like, well, where's the other half? The only thing we can do is stretch all of it. And when we stretch up all of it, we're changing the known paradigm on the planet that women can only be one or the other. The people can only really be one or the other. So there is no actual value in you dismissing the parts of charisma you have to go chase other parts. Because at the end of the day, the greatest thing you can have is all of it, all 8 parts. That you have confidence, that you have conviction, that you have connection, that you have currency, that you have care, that you have compassion, that you have courage. All the part, like you can't let go of one of them in order to be everything that you want it to be. So you have a couple of days to yourself, and I'm going to tell you what I would love to see you do in those few days for you. Currency is your self-value. And I actually have a program called Currency that is a freaking masterpiece. And for those of you who are here in We Are Alpha Femme, if you buy a year of Alpha Femme in full, you get either identity work or currency as a bonus. You can choose one or the other if you buy a year in full. So if you've been contemplating doing that, that could be really cool. Currency is entirely different from confidence. Confidence is built on results. So like, I'm confident I can build a chocolate cake. I'm confident that I can drive this car successfully to this place. I'm confident that I can lead a seminar. I'm confident that I can help a client break through. Currency is my worth, my value, me believing that I am worthy of receiving a client in the first place, being chosen, being paid. Like, it's a very different energy. So what I would love for you to do during this time that you have a few days to yourself is notice what moments in your days you are being in charisma, whichever C is popping up for you. If you want to hold a little journal or take notes in your phone and notice like, oh, I just had a super caring moment in that moment. I just had a super compassionate moment in that moment. Or if you're feeling uncomfortable and you're feeling like you're in your head or you're shut down or you don't belong, see like which C could I lean into right now? Could I bring some curiosity to the table? Could I do, and then take notes of that. Like, I was feeling uncomfortable. I brought curiosity and I felt connection. Something happened. Like, start to just look. Oh, it's not actually. Well, now I've said it. So it's either currency, unconventional, because it was unconventional, but now I've said it. And, or, we'll only do this one until the end of the program though, because usually it isn't. But currency, unconventional, or ID. So I messed that up, but hey, guess what? It's an opportunity. Okay, so I want you to really look at these. And what that will do is that when you do them, it will raise your confidence in what you already have. And when you try other stuff on, it'll raise your curiosity. It's going to actually help you build yourself up with this as you go. The most important thing is I want you to notice when you feel the need for validation and really give yourself compassion. So compassion is often something that people think they have to give to someone else. One of the top characteristics of a charismatic person is their ability to give themselves compassion. And I'm going to show you what that looks like, because I think that this, you'll often see, I use examples of children in my coaching, because at the core, that's exactly what we are. We're just a little bit older kids. That's what we are. So I want you to imagine, we've already discussed this, a child that's charismatic. Is the child charismatic because they're likable? Or is the child charismatic to you because they like you? What makes a child charismatic to you? What makes them likable? Is that when they come up to you, they genuinely smile at you. It looks like they're comfortable around you. They look like they care about you. They look like they like you. It feels like they like you. It feels like it clicks. That's what makes a child feel charismatic. It's like you feel comfortable near me. You feel confident near me. You feel you're not running away from me. You can hold your own around me. You feel safe around me. Like, it's not so much they are likable. It's the fact that they are comfortable around you. So if you want to look at the charismatic traits and you imagine a child having them, imagine a little kid trying to open a toy and they can't do it. And they get really upset and they say, I'm so stupid. Versus a little kid who tries to open their toy and they just look at you and they're like, oh, I'm having a hard time with this. But that's okay. If at first I don't succeed, I try again. Which one of them are you just like, I am so drawn to you, you wise, what? Yes, that's true. At first you don't succeed, try again. There's a feeling about the kid that's willing to say, it's okay. I can do it. It's the same thing with an adult. And it's not something that you do to get yourself off the hook. Self-compassion isn't just like, can't do it. It's okay. It's not like that. The kid doesn't say, I can't do it. I don't know how. They don't say that. They say, it's okay. I can try again. That's the self-compassion. If you can do that, not say, I knew I couldn't do this. I failed. This is so hard. You don't do that. You say, that's okay. I'll just try again. That raises your charisma. Self-compassion raises your charisma. One of the funniest videos I've ever seen on Instagram, it just kills me. And every time I see it, I just laugh and I watch it 3-4 times in a row, is this little kid, this little girl who is in the living room in a ballerina outfit. And she's about to show her ballerina moves. And she kind of leans forward and goes, oh, sorry, I had a fart. And you can tell all the person holding the phone is laughing. And she said, I said, excuse me. I said, excuse me. And then she says with all of her confidence, ballerinas can fart too, you know. And it makes me laugh so much because all of the shame, all of the, I'm so sorry, or I'm so bad, or all of that, we get that so much later in life. She's like, I said, excuse me, ballerinas can have a fart too, you know, like it's like, it doesn't matter. And her confidence and her charisma is through the freaking roof. And it's amazing. And it's like, that's not hard to do. We just don't allow ourselves to do it because we think it's going to make us something. So I want you to really embrace yourself as a small child over the weekend. Laugh at things. Something goes wrong, giggle at it, say, I'll give it another shot. Imagine yourself as a small child that had a hiccup and goes, I can do that again. I can give that another shot. Just with the curiosity of a child, with the curiosity of the wonder, instead of the, I should know better, I should know how to do this. All of that shrinks us so small. We're going to get our youth back and start to live like this is the beginning, and magic is going to happen. So I would love your stories. That's what I would love to see this weekend. Any little thing. You made your coffee wrong, it tasted terrible, and you said, that's okay, I can make another one. And just the realization that that was your vibe about it felt good. You did your entire makeup and then you went to do your eyeliner, you poked yourself in the eye, your eye was running profusely and you had to wipe your entire makeup off and start over. And you just said, that's okay, I can start again. Instead of being like, why does this happen to me? Little things. You got stuck in traffic, you took the wrong turn, and you gave yourself self-compassion and you dealt with it a different way. And here's how it felt. The simplest things or big things. Charisma also creates big things. Now, this is why also it tends to draw in sometimes the wrong people. Because when you give examples of what's possible, there's always two kinds of people. There's the people who are like, whoa, can you imagine if that happened for me? And there's the kind of people who are like, oh, I want that. Let me take the course so that happens to me. One is in curiosity and like, imagine, I wonder what's available in my life through this. And the other one's like, I want to replicate that result. I want to share something with you. So Kevin and I are between airports and we're going between Kauai and Oahu. And we have got 4 bags. And the 4 bags are, so instead of them being under 50 pounds, are over 70 pounds. So they're going to be $100 each in extra baggage weight. But the time it would take us to go get another suitcase, plus the price of the suitcase, plus hours of my life of free time, it's more worth it to pay the extra luggage than to go buy new ones and to reorganize the suitcases and to do all the things. So I make peace with it and we go to the airport. I am very well aware that the bags are heavy. Kevin is very well aware that the bags are heavy. But we are in la la land, we're in love, life is beautiful. And so we get to the counter and Kevin just says, I'm going to put these on for you because they are very heavy. We broke all the rules. And he puts the bags on and he puts the other bags. She's like, whoa, these are really overweight. Really. And she's laughing with us and all the things. And then she gives us our boarding pass and she's like, you're good. And so we're like, what? Oh, we just need to pay for the overage. She's like, I'm too lazy to charge today. I have never in my life had a person at airport not charge me for a luggage, even if it's 2 pounds overweight. They're like, that'll be $72. And they're so happy to tell me, like, not today. We were accepting, we were ready, we were good. Life is good. It's not a problem. We're grateful. No charge. And when we looked back at it and we're like, what created that? It's like, we did not have any expectation. We would not have asked. We would not have needed, but we were confident, convinced, connected, caring, we had it all of it. And the world just opens up. We were at a hotel where we'd been, getting to know people the same way any other guests would, but one night they just showed up with a bottle of champagne and put it on the table. And we were like, we didn't order this. They're like, no, that's from us. The next night they showed up with a $0 bill. Like a check for $0. They paid our whole meal. Why? We love you guys. We have the money to pay for it now. Where was all this when we had no money? Like, why now? Why? And every time it's like, it's surprising because it isn't like if we're nice enough to these people, they might give us a bottle of champagne, like evil mastermind plotting for bubbles. Like it doesn't work that way. It's when you're in your self that it happens. There was a room in one of the hotels, a room that was worth $25,000 a night. It is the most beautiful room I've ever seen. One room in the hotel like that. We visited and I'm like, oh my God, this room. And so I'm so in love with it. And it's like, do we spend this for one night? It's crazy. But it's like the memories I'm going to make here are spectacular. And is it worth it? And could I manifest? And what if I did all the work, got some really important calls I could do from this room? I could, if I justify it with my energy, if I stay in the room and hold the room by, can I justify the price? Will I Well, I make the price back energetically, you know, energetic math. I don't know if you guys do this. It's going to cost me this much, but if this is the reason that I generate this much money, then really it's an investment. Like I'll do that sometime. And so I'm like, can I get behind this? Can I get behind this? Can I get behind this? And so we go to book it for 2 nights. I'm like, I'm doing it. 2 nights. I know exactly what the reason is. I know what I'm doing there. I'm doing it. We get the bill for it. They charge us $7,000 a night. So we're like, oh, there's a mistake. They're like, no, there isn't. So at this point, we're like, okay, we're never leaving this hotel. We're staying here forever. So we decided to extend our stay, and we said, you know, we'll get a room. We just want a room with a balcony if you have one for us. And so we booked it with them. It was like $2,000 a night or whatever for the room, and we extended by 5 days, 3 days, 4 days. And so we get a phone call, and they're like, so we upgraded your room to a balcony room and all the things, but actually you won't need to move there. You can stay in that suite till you leave. They let us stay in the $25,000 suite for an entire week, and we never spent that thing for 1 night. We got free dinner, free champagne, the room upgrade. I'm like, how the heck is this happening? This is not possible. This does not make sense. Why? Why? Like, why? 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 And it's like, because we love you guys. Why? This is charisma. And it's not like everywhere I go, I expect this to happen. And it's not like everywhere I go, it does happen. But it happens a lot more often than I've ever heard it happen to anybody else. Like multiple times a month when I least expect it. So I don't want you to take this course so that you can manifest upgrades. But I want you to know that the world opens up in ways that you can't imagine when you're genuinely doing what you're doing. For me, for you, for us, when people feel a certain way, something unlocks. And real, genuine charisma does that. Nothing else does that in a way that makes you feel the way it feels for me. I know that. You might feel like, yeah, got him. You might feel like, high five, we got a free bottle of champagne and we got an upgrade, but you wouldn't feel like, thank you, God. You wouldn't feel like, I must be on the right path. You wouldn't feel like this is a sign from God, Mother Nature, the universe, that I am on the right path. You wouldn't feel like, thank you. You wouldn't feel like tears of joy. That's not how you'd feel. You'd just feel like, yeah, which is really so cheap in comparison to what this work will give you. It feels like miracles so often that it's impossible not to believe in miracles. That changes your freaking life. When you're a person who believes in miracles so much because it's impossible not to believe in miracles, your charisma is so big and it compounds on itself. You walk around the world like anything great could happen. And if it's going to happen, it'll probably happen to you, because if it happens to you, it's good for the world because you're good people. Can you imagine that kind of experience of yourself? The doors unlock because it's good for the world when the doors unlock for you. That's the power of real charisma, not for validation. Validation is like the cheapest form of recognition. Love, connection, value. Like there are so many incredible things that we can feel in this life. Validation is like, let's be done with that so you can experience so much more. So one question, I'm curious about something. For those of us who have words of affirmation of love language, I don't need validation. However, I feel my relationship is lacking in richness and connection when words of affirmations are lacking. It's like I don't need icing, but the cake is kind of dry without it. Can you speak to the nuance of needing validation versus loving words of affirmation? So this is actually coming in the program, and it's not just words of affirmation, it's also results. So it's like, I love my business. I love my clients. I love what I do. I love you guys. If my business was at a deficit every month, I would not necessarily feel the same way as I feel right now. Some of you must feel like, okay, like I feel abundant, I feel grateful, I feel love, but like when I'm struggling to pay my bills, it's not that I want validation, it's that I want a payment. Can we talk about that for a minute? Like, what about the results? But in order to get to a squeaky clean conversation about the results, you first got to open up to the energetics. Because the fact is, more clients than you could imagine have come to me over the years where they have the results, they don't have the feeling. And they're like, I just don't know what to do, because at this point I have everything and I still feel terrified it's all going to fall apart. I still feel not good enough. I still feel unworthy. I still feel, and I have more money than I ever have. I have so much money. I have so much success. I have so much. And all I can think about is people are watching me. People don't like me. People are going to leave me. It's all I can think about all the time, no matter what, constantly. So I want to help you with the energetics first. And then we're going to go into what the charisma can do for results. That's why the program is split into 2 parts, the energy and the tangible. So for now, this is why there's no goal. I don't want you to go out there and manifest something. I don't want you to get something. I want you to just go find out what's available when you test these things out and tell me stories. It could be big things. It could be little things. But literally, you smudged your makeup and you redid it without freaking out is a win. But you received a glass of champagne at the restaurant is a win. It's all a win. I just want you to feel the difference when you are connected to yourself and to your openness to other people. If they bug you, see if you can be more caring, more compassionate, more curious. See what's available in you to stretch. Instead of just like you hear a person who's super confident that's get crunchy with you. It's like, can I have more compassion? Can I have more curiosity? Can I have more? If you have someone who is another way, can I stretch here? Can I stretch here? Like, see if you can add more instead of judging, cutting them off, deciding you don't like them, deciding there's something wrong with you. Just be curious and see if there's something different you can use just for the weekend. Just try it out and come tell me the story. Enjoy your time. Have fun with this. It's just fun for now. Then we'll talk about how to really start doing big things with this. But for this weekend, just have a good time. Thank you for being here. Have the most beautiful weekend, and I will speak to you next week.